let's talk about the latest appointment now of Professor Malegapuru Makgoba. He's the interim Eskom chairperson, and lots of unhappiness about that. One of the parties unhappy about that is the DA, calling it regrettable, saying it's the last thing the struggling power utility actually needs to turn around. So you've got to get some insight on
Indeed,
exactly
the DA's Public Enterprises spokesperson, Shadow Minister Khaled Kachalia. Good evening to you and welcome. With your permission, I'm going to take a short left on this interview if I can. You speak on public enterprises. We'll get to Eskom in just a moment, but I want to start with SAA. No bridging finance yet from Treasury. We know there's a deadline, January the 18th, this coming Saturday. What's the conventional wisdom? Can the airline survive?
Well, it's clear that they won't be able to pay their way. They are in business rescue. It has been denied that they are in liquidation, despite some of the rumors to that effect. We'll have to see how it plays out. Like all these things, it depends on money. No money, no go. And then the liquidator, or not the liquidator, rather, the business rescue practitioner will have to apply his mind to everything on the table. An unenviable job.
Somebody else who perhaps has got an unenviable job, Mr. Kachalia, is Malegapuru Makgoba. Eskom has made the appointment as the new chair, and your party has come out and you've said, we don't like this. Why?
The role of a chair, particularly of a large body like Eskom, is clearly defined. The chair needs to be ethical in his leadership. The chair needs to be an interface with senior management. He needs to procure the right information to take the right decisions, see that the decisions are being done, manage the shareholder, populate the board appropriately, and the like. There's a long list there, not that long. That needs to be adhered to. And that has to be adhered to scrupulously, and the chairman must stay in his lane. He cannot put his head into the operational running of the company. Now, the question is, does Mr. Makgoba fulfill all those boxes? And does he provide us, and the capital markets particularly, with comfort? My answer is a big question mark.
Well, patently you're suggesting that he doesn't tick the boxes. So, in fairness to him, what boxes does he not tick as far as your party is concerned?
Let me tell you. When Professor Makgoba, whose medical credentials are important and big, when he was at KZN as Vice-Chancellor there, he used public resources of the university to bring in senior legal help to discipline academics at Senate, and then centralized all that under his control. The university was left reeling as a result of that. Secondly, at WITS, there was a question mark, and I'll leave it just at that, about the veracity of some aspects of his CV.
Explain to us why those transgressions should be held against him.
I will do. And thirdly, because I'll tie this all up, thirdly, some years ago he wrote an article saying that white males are akin to baboons because they've lost their alpha status and that they need to be rehabilitated. Now,
so all of that disqualifies him, in your opinion, as being chairperson of Eskom?
You have to be unimpeachable as chairman of a utility.
And you're saying
particularly at this particular time. Those three things raise big questions. And the reason is, take the alpha baboon story. I presume the CEO, Andre de Ruyter, is an alpha male who's risen to the top of his career. The chairman of the board, the interim chairman of the board, is going to have to interact responsibly and properly with this man. I wonder how that's going to play out, given the background. Secondly, if there are questions about the veracity of his CV, then that's significant, and it talks about ethics, and ethics are terribly important here. And thirdly, his manner of control. We don't know what he's going to do in Eskom. We can only see what he's done in the past. And if his behavior at UKZN is anything to go by, then we go, surely there was someone better, someone who also will not take any nonsense from government political interference.
All right.
That is required.
Let me quote a statement from your party. You have repeatedly called for, and I quote, an independent new chairman with the appropriate financial and technical knowledge to be instated by the shareholder, one who is grounded in solid ethical governance.
Right.
That's a good description of any chairperson.
With the caveat that let's not overplay the technical knowledge. You need the passing knowledge of the industry.
Your party says
yes,
it's got to have appropriate technical.
Appropriate's the point. You don't have to be a world expert. You need to have appropriate.
So, having said that, then you have dismissed Professor Makgoba. Who's on your list?
It's not for me to generate lists willy-nilly and say that Jeremy Maggs is the man to take it, because
I will pass on the kind offer. Thank you very much indeed. But hang on. It's all very well to throw stones, but surely the responsible thing to do is to make appropriate recommendations.
Yes, and
this is who we think should be doing the job.
I have asked the Minister of Public Enterprises and the government to sit around a table and we can help generate those lists. Now, there are two ways of doing it. You can come up with lists. You can say, oh, there's this chap Lamberti here who needs to redeem himself in some way. Perhaps he can do it. There is perhaps some fella sitting in Australia called Lennon. Have a word with him. There is another chap who's sitting in the Middle East called K.W. Miller, I think, who has advised the company in the past and has a hands-on feeling for what's going on. These are names. However, you can also approach a professional company and say, in a very short space of time, generate the names for us to vet.
Your statement goes on to say that there are global energy executives. You've just named two people who are not necessarily in the energy business, with deep operational, financial and restructuring expertise who could fulfill the role of Eskom chairman. Again, I'm going to assume that you don't have names to that, but what I am going to ask you is, should, in your opinion, the chairperson of Eskom be sourced globally? That there is no one in this country who is capable, Mr. Kachalia, of doing the job?
There may well be. And I'm not an expert in the energy field.
But your statement says they're global energy executives with deep operational experience.
Clearly they are.
You're suggesting we should be looking offshore?
We should be looking everywhere. We want the best of breed. I don't care if that person comes from Iceland or Polokwane. Let's get the best person for the job. Let him do the best job possible. Let him interact with the CEO, and let's get out of this mess.
Are you prepared to give Mr. Makgoba a chance?
He's got a chance. The government's not going to listen to me patently, so let's see what he does. It's an interim appointment, thank God. It doesn't bode well for the final appointment, I must say.
And thanks for offering me the job as well. The DA is Khalib Kachalia. Thanks for joining us tonight on South Africa Tonight, just after 6:30.